In February of 2012, a Russian team stood at the loneliest place on Earth, 2.5 miles of solid ice beneath their boots. Below that ice lay a lake no living thing had touched in 15 million years. They had been drilling toward it for 2 decades. That winter, the drill broke through. And then, for weeks, the world heard almost nothing at all. What came up out of that hole? This is Lake Vostok, a body of water the size of Lake Ontario, sealed beneath the Antarctic ice in total darkness for longer than our species has existed. By the end of this, you will understand how a lake stays liquid under 2 miles of ice, what the drillers actually pulled up, the strand of DNA that matched nothing known to science, and why this frozen lake may be our most important rehearsal for finding life on another world. Stay with me. For most of the last century, we assumed the heart of Antarctica was exactly what it looks like. Dead. Frozen solid, top to bottom. Then in the 1990s, surveys above Vostok Station found something that should not have been there. A vast, flat, smooth surface hundreds of miles across. Not rock. Water. A liquid lake, hidden under more than 2 miles of ice. And immediately, the unsettling question. How is it still liquid? The answer is pressure and heat. The crushing weight of the ice lowers the freezing point of the water beneath it, while warmth from deep in the earth rises to meet it. Together, they hold the lake liquid, just barely, where everything should be frozen. But the haunting part is the time. The ice sealed this water off from sunlight and from the living world somewhere between 15 and 25 million years ago, since, before there were humans to wonder about it. Vostok Station sits directly above the lake, and it is a brutal place. It holds the record for the coldest temperature ever measured on Earth, -128 degrees. It is among the most remote outposts anywhere, hundreds of miles from the coast, reachable only in the short Antarctic summer. The Soviets built it during the Cold War. And here, at the worst address on the planet, a team chose to drill straight down into a sealed, alien world. They did not do it quickly. The borehole took more than 20 years, stopping and starting with funding and politics, and a danger was built in from the start. To keep a hole that deep from freezing shut, they filled it with thousands of gallons of kerosene and freon. It worked, but it meant a column of industrial chemicals now hung just above one of the most pristine environments on Earth. One mistake, and they would poison the very thing they came to study. On the 5th of February, 2012, more than 12,000 feet down, the drill reached the surface of the lake. By design, water surged up into the borehole and froze there, a plug meant to seal the chemicals out. They had done it, opened a window into a hidden world. And then the Antarctic winter closed in. The station emptied, as it must each year before the cold turns lethal. And the silence began. For weeks there was little word. Communication out of Vostok in deep winter is thin at the best of times, and into that gap rushed speculation. Headlines asked what the Russians had found and were hiding. Rumors said contact had been lost completely. The truth was duller. The crew had simply gone home for the season, but it was too late. By the time the world looked, the story had already grown a monster. You may have heard it. Organism 46b. A giant, intelligent, squid-like predator supposedly hauled from the lake, paralyzing divers, mimicking its prey. It is a gripping story. It is also entirely fabricated, traced to a single dramatized broadcast and laundered into fact. There was no monster, no divers. I want to be clear about that, because the real findings are quieter and far stranger than any sea creature. When researchers studied the ice that had frozen from lake water onto the drill, they found genetic traces, DNA from bacteria, most matched organisms we already know. But in 2013, a Russian-led team reported something odd. One sequence did not cleanly match anything in the global database of known life, less than 90% similar to its nearest relative. Unidentified, unclassified. For a moment, it seemed the lake had handed up something new, but this is where a good mystery meets honest science. That column of kerosene and the simple handling of samples are very good at one thing: contamination. Skeptics pointed out fairly that many sequences could be surface bacteria or microbes from the drilling fluid, not natives of the lake. The unclassified strand might be something we simply have not catalogued. The finding was never confirmed. And so the most tantalizing result from Vostok still sits in limbo. Maybe a discovery, maybe a mistake. To see why scientists will not let this go, you have to know what life can do. We once believed living things needed sunlight. We were wrong. In the crushing dark of the deep sea, around volcanic vents, creatures live on chemistry alone, feeding on energy in rock and gas. Microbes turn up miles underground, in solid stone, in acid. If anything could endure 15 million years sealed in a cold, black, high-pressure lake, it would be something like that. Life at its most stubborn. And that is why a lake in Antarctica matters to people who study the stars. Out in our own solar system are worlds just like it. Europa, a moon of Jupiter, and Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, wear shells of ice over vast hidden oceans. If we ever hope to drill through alien ice and sample an alien sea without poisoning it, we have to learn how here. Vostok is not just a lake. It is a rehearsal, and Vostok is not alone. Beneath the ice, scientists have mapped more than 400 subglacial lakes, a whole hidden network of water in the dark. At one of them, Lake Willans, an American team in 2013 did what Vostok could not. They reached the water cleanly. They found it alive, thousands of microbes thriving deep beneath the ice, eating rock. So life can exist down there. We know that now. What we still cannot say is what, exactly, lives in Vostok. More than a decade after the breakthrough, we still have no clean, undisputed sample of Vostok's water. The borehole gave us frozen lake ice, not the lake itself, and that ice came tangled with the chemicals used to reach it. Plans to send a sterile probe down have stalled, on money, on access, and on the politics now isolating Russian science. The lake that waited 15 million years can wait a little longer, so strip away the monster, and the honest questions remain. Is there native life in Lake Vostok, or only contamination from the drill? What was that unclassified strand of DNA? And what else is dissolved in a sea that has been brewing in the dark since before the first apes came down from the trees? We do not know. The one experiment that could answer it has not yet been cleanly done. There is something humbling in that. We can map this lake. We can drill to it. We can stand on the ice directly above it. And we still cannot reach in and ask what it holds, because the reaching itself might ruin the answer. A living world, perhaps, sealed just beneath our feet, and the closest we have come is a frozen smear on the tip of a drill. We may confirm life on another planet before we finish reading the one under our own ice. A lake in the dark, 15 million years of silence, one strand of DNA that fits nowhere on the tree of life. The ice is still keeping most of its secret. The next file we open was buried even longer, and by every rule it should not exist, a single skeleton that breaks the human story in half. Subscribe so it finds you. This is Black Salt Ledger.